well, so we'll see what emerges. Yeah, so I was thinking that in a way there's sort of two directions to talk about my practice, or that we can talk about our practice. So there's sometimes what happens is we understand something, or we have an experience of something that is way past our normal everyday experience, and then the work, what we have to do then is to sort of catch up with that understanding, so the rest of us kind of catches up with it. And sometimes it happens the other way around, or kind of more often in a way it happens the other way round, that we work away at our practice, at ourselves, and gradually through doing that, the understanding sort of catches up with our lived experience. So I thought I would share with you something of the first way round, so understandings that I've had, which I've then had to catch up with. So there's an obvious difficulty with talking about anything in this area, which is that by naming it, it gets pinned down, and well, either you end up inflating it into something much kind of bigger than it was, or you kind of make it ordinary and reduce it. And so I think it's very difficult to avoid that. Yeah, so those various things I could have chosen to share today. And in the experience of not pinning down, I wanted to share two things that are quite contradictory, two experiences that feel quite contradictory, because they nevertheless must be part of the whole. They must be part of the whole bigger picture. And in a way that the contradictoriness of the experiences is part of what I'm really interested in. And a lot of kind of my learning and understanding has come about through trying to work out how it's possible to have such different experiences through practice. And also I picked them because they've had a really long reach in my life. They're experiences that have kind of chunted along in the background, and I've kind of been trying to absorb and understand over a long period of time. So I have this image, which is that it's something like it's an image of a hand, and various experiences or understandings. It's a bit like I've got different fingertips, and so if I get that fingertip and I get that one, they can feel really kind of at odds and hard to understand, but actually the reality is there's a hand and I haven't got the hand yet. So that's been a big part of my learning, really, I think. So I've done a lot of reflecting on how different things that have come through my practice connect. And I think just, well, knowing that they're fragments, it's all fragments, all the things that we understand until we are, well, I would think fully enlightened, like the Buddha, are fragments, or they're just pieces of a big puzzle. We get one or two pieces. And so I've done a lot of reflecting on that, like the danger of generalizing from different experiences. I think, if you've got one piece of the jigsaw puzzle or one tip of one finger of a hand, I can like spin a whole story about what that says about how things are from that, and can end up getting things really wrong, I think. So so the first experience that I wanted to talk about happened a really long time ago. So I was, I can't remember if I was either a new Mitra or I wasn't yet a Mitra. So I was at the London Buddhist Centre in Bethnal Green, and so actually I was on retreat. I was on, I was on a retreat, and I remember waking up in the morning and being really, really anxious, and my mind being really, really scrambled, and and I remember feeling like so scrambled that I kind of like hurried down to the shrine room, probably feeling like I was a bit late and it was too early in the morning and all the rest of it, and realizing that I was so scrambled I hardly even knew I'd gone into the shrine room, and thinking, oh, I've got to do something about this, else I'm not going to be able to sit here for the next hour. So what I decided to do was I chanted the Amitabha mantra 3 times. And the reason I did that was because I found that mantra really, really still, really calm. And so I chanted this mantra 3 times. And what happened was I had some kind of a vision or experience of Amitabha. So it was completely unexpected. It was, in a way, it didn't really have much of a lead in. And so the experience was something like, I felt, I knew, I sort of saw, but it was not so visual, that there's something like a net or a hand underneath everything, and it catches everything that falls. And so that was the thought: everything that falls, everything that lets go is caught. And then there was a kind of follow-on sort of understanding of some or knowledge in a way, and that was that everything is made of love. It's not that love, it happens between things or between people, but it was something like it's the stuff of things. And so that was the experience, and it was definitely not my ordinary experience. It wasn't even in like language or words that I would normally use to myself, and it was not the way I thought about the world. So then there was a second bit to that, which was that at some time after that, I arranged to go and talk to Sangharachita, who was living at that time, at the LBC, London Buddhist Centre. And you could book to go and have a conversation with him about your practice, or just go and meet him. So I wanted to go and see him to talk about my meditation. And and the reason I wanted to talk to him was because, well, I had things like this happening in my meditation, but I also had loads of panic, really. I found that I was getting sort of panic attacks really happening when I meditated. So I wanted to kind of talk to him about all of this. I went to see him, and I told him about it, and I told him about this thing that had happened, the Amitabha experience, and I told him about the panic. And I think I probably sort of started to panic a bit while I was talking to him. I was quite anxious anyway. And what happened was he gave me something like a direct experience of metta. It was like he opened a door to this, what I experienced as like this vast reservoir of metta, and he opened it and he let it out, and I felt it come towards me, and it kind of it was like a wave front, and I could sort of see it, feel it. I saw it coming towards me, and it crashed over me, and and it completely sort of transformed my experience. So So all of those things are really far out of my normal experience. So then what happened was I've had sort of years and years and years of working that into my life a bit, you know, gradually a bit more. And I was thinking like the effect of those experiences, even though, you know, in a way they were just really short. That's only a few minutes of something happening, and then, you know, there's the whole rest of your life that you're living, and it's not really like that. So, well, the effect was to give me confidence, like really quite a deep confidence in just, well, what is it? How does it change my life if I think that there isn't this big hole underneath everything, which kind of was my emotional experience, really. If there's not a big hole underneath everything, I'm not like walking the plank, you know, over, I don't know what, nothingness. Well, it changes everything, really. So it gave me confidence in the Dharma. It gave me confidence that Sangharakshita was plugged into this really, really deep, rich resource in the universe of positivity. And it also made me want to act on this. So I ended up, like, as a direct consequence of talking to Sangharakshita, I decided to join a team-based right livelihood business. So I joined the cafe team at the London Buddhist Centre, and I worked there as part of a really close team of women working together, working out how to practice the Dharma in our everyday life, day by day, in a really ordinary, grounded, down-to-earth way. And I did that for quite a number of years. And then eventually when I joined the order, so when we join the order, we're usually given a meditation practice, which is, in a way, it's our thread to follow. And so I was given a practice which involves imagining and connecting with the Buddha Amitabha. Yeah, and there was loads and loads of other things that I had that kind of have come out of that experience. So I just had to learn in an ordinary way, emotional positivity, how to connect to people, how to talk about my feelings, you know, all of the things that contributed to having that panicky experience. And then my kind of deep-seated emotional views that are irrational, and which I'm not even that aware of, which give me that sort of experience of the world, or used to give me that experience, that somewhere there's nothing to rely on, and, you know, there's nothing kind of, there's no ground, there's no, that sense that there's a pit under things, rather than that there's a net that catches things. So all of that was like years of sort of work, really. And then just to finish off, so I've had experiences sort of since then, which are sort of at the opposite end of the spectrum of like different tips of fingers. So in a way, I think of that Amitabha experience as a kind of, I think of it as a fullness experience. It's kind of communicated qualities of the universe to me, qualities of experience of being alive, like richness and resources. And I've also had experiences which are more of the nature of like, how to describe it, like, 1 minute. Yeah, that I don't, I'm not substantial in the way that I think that I am, I guess. And so I found that early experience of Amitabha and of those resources, like, it's sort of like the positive residue. Those early experiences have been a really, really important counterbalance to those experiences which are more in the nature of not being as substantial as I think that I am. So I think without having those kind of experiences, without having had that experience of Amitabha and similar ones, I think I could easily have just thought, oh, I'm not really here. There's nothing of value in the universe if I'm not sort of who I think I am and what I think I am. It's just so easy to go in that direction. So yeah, so that, I guess that's what I wanted to say really, is that that's what interests me, that like they're all different pieces of the puzzle, that I can't make that experience of being caught, that there's some property in the universe that catches, into something solid and substantial, because I've had these other experiences which are more about insubstantiality. But I can't just think, oh well, that means nothing matters and there's no meaning, because I've had the other, you know, kind of tastes of the other side of it. Yeah, so I think that's the work, is to kind of gradually build up these pieces of the puzzle. Yes.